Hello there, child. Hello. And hello, Internet. Hello. Merry Christmas.
So, Santa.
Yes.
Did you get me a Red Ryder carbine action BB gun with a compass and the stock and this thing which tells time?
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Ho, 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 ho.
But you know what Santa did get me? As I reach into my suspiciously Lola-looking stocking here, is a QuaranStream t-shirt! Woohoo! Check it out!
Still available at the links below.
So you're not hallucinating. It's not Christmas, but we're going to be talking about Christmas Story, the musical. And I am, not unfortunately Ralphie. I am Bri.
And I am, despite what you would think, not Santa. I am Glen.
And I love my little, bootleg Hamilton merchandise here. But we are going to do a quick costume change, and then we'll get down to brass tacks.
Yes. All right.
Woo!
Oh, that's a warm beard. Okay.
Yeah, yes, and not super fun. So yeah, Glen is sporting his quarantine haircut.
Yes. Very, very neat, very trimmed up off the sides.
Yep. Things are getting real.
Yes.
Glen's been home for about 5 weeks now.
5 weeks now. You've been home for 2 weeks.
2.
Yeah.
So we're getting down to it. This will be our last musicals we can remember, at least for now.
Yeah.
We sat down earlier today and decided where the next couple of months are going to go with what type of shows we're going to do. So we're going to be doing things like musicals that we haven't seen, and we're going to guess what's going on in them. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing musical pitches. We each picked a movie, and we each picked a band who we'd like to see a jukebox musical about.
Yes.
We picked some things on YouTube, since we don't have Hulu or Netflix or anything like that. So sorry, no Tiger King. We haven't seen it.
Yes.
But we picked some things on YouTube that we'd like to see become musicals.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm getting down to my personal passions, which is Disney Descendants and Teen Beach Movie, and what movies I would write about them. So. Yes.
So we're still continuing the QuaranStream. By the way, Bristol is checked in.
Hi,
hello,
Bristol.
We're still continuing the QuaranStream. You guys are still going to be able to catch us here Wednesdays at 8, Saturdays at 2, and on YouTube after the fact, if it comes down to that.
Up until I think we planned until July 6th, if necessary. So we'll be here for all of your entertainment needs.
Yes, we're shifting up our format a little bit, what we talk about.
Yeah, because we've only been in so many musicals, unfortunately, as much as we had liked to have been in more. But there's a whole casting thing and availability and working day jobs and all that fun stuff.
And as Bri pointed out, we still have our QuaranStream t-shirts are available. And also, we still have our lovely Virginia is for Social Distancing. So those are available. If you're watching on Twitch, you can scroll down below the screen, and there will be panels there linking to them. If you're watching on YouTube later, the links will be in the description. Our video is getting really choppy over there on the stream.
Well, everybody's on the internet, unfortunately. That's the life we live.
Yep, everybody is indoors now.
Yeah. And speaking of more time on the internet, which is what everybody's looking forward to doing, is I think this upcoming Monday, we are actually going to watch the copy of Bye Bye Birdie that was gifted to us by Bristol. Thank you, Bristol.
Hello.
Whole town pitched in.
Oh, yes.
We're going to watch that, and we're going to live tweet it. Unfortunately, due to copyright, we can't share it here on Twitch, so we can't do something all together. But we did look to see how all of you, if you are interested in following along and talking with us and enjoying a movie together, I think you'd have to get a DVD copy, was gifted to us.
Yes.
Or you can rent it on Amazon.
Yeah, on Amazon you can rent it, and you can view it in standard definition for $2.99, high definition for $3.99. And we're going to be probably around 8 p.m. on Monday.
Yes. Yep.
8 p.m. on Monday, we're going to start watching it and tweeting out our reactions to it. We're going to use that little hashtag, and hashtag we've settled on is tweet Birdie. So
so if you want to follow everything from start to finish, or come back and look at it later, so
you can search for hashtag tweet Birdie, and we will be there.
Yep. So without further ado, we have decided upon sharing our remembrances and thoughts of A Christmas Story.
Yes.
We were lucky enough to do this fairly recently.
Yeah.
This is when we lived in Blacksburg, Virginia, working with Summer Musical Enterprise. And if anybody has joined from that group, hi guys!
Hello. Nice
Feel free to remind us of what we're forgetting.
Yes.
This is a big open forum, so please feel free to yell at us if we skipped over your favorite song or favorite character or anything. I was not in the show. I kind of helped direct and helped do some behind the scenes type of stuff. I don't know. I don't want to get into too much personal detail, but I have not felt well from like 2012 to like recently 2018, 19. So I did not perform an awful lot, or at least as much as I would have liked. I did not have a lot of energy for that. So I still really love musicals. I still wanted to help, and there was a great team with Summer Musical Enterprise. Just really astoundingly talented folks. I know that there's amazing talent in all pockets of all communities across the country, but really loved working with them and the behind the scenes team. So I did that, and Glen was lucky enough to be on stage. So he's going to probably talk for most of this, aside from like what you normally see of me rambling.
it is in a stunning turn of events. This is the show that I was actually performing in, and Bri was backstage.
Took lots of
Bri was
pictures.
watching. Yes,
I do have some of the corner where Glen lived, which you'll hear about why he had a corner up on my artistic portfolio. So if you do want to check out things that I have created for theater outside of being on stage, but costumes, props, sets, and actually a couple plays are on there as well. Go to Pittsburgh Artist Registry and then search for my name. You can look up Laskey, Laskey, and you'll see kind of all my art come up. And if you are someone out there who is looking to hire a theater professional, feel free to use that portfolio to see some of my best puppetry and writing and all the fun things that I like to create and make.
Yes.
So, pitch for me.
Yes. All right, and the Christmas Story the musical. So now okay. First off, let's
Who'd you play?
I did not play Santa.
Not play Santa.
No. I played Jean Shepherd. Now, Jean Shepherd, for those of you who haven't put it together from the millions of times people have watched the movie that this is based on, Jean Shepherd is the narrator. Jean Shepherd is the guy who wrote the whole thing. Yeah, he wrote the whole thing. And Jean
literally
Shepherd,
and in the show.
Yeah. In the show, he's the guy who's telling the story. In real life, he's the guy who wrote the series of essays that A Christmas Story was adapted from. And this is, for those of you who know the movie, this is based on the movie with Ralphie, who wants the BB gun. And for those of you who don't know the movie, it's sort of a, what period is it? I
think it's like in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, I was introduced to A Christmas Story, probably like most of you have done, is they would show those big marathons over Thanksgiving of just A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And of course, all of my relatives who are kind of in our what I would say like our second generation. There's like my grandparents, there's my parents. So my parents and all their siblings, they of course loved it, and we watched it, and they would always say how much, Ralphie and Randy and all of the kids at the school was how much like how they went to school. Yeah. And they're in the boomer generation, born in the 40s. So yeah, probably like around the 50s if they're all around 8 to 10.
And it's sort of a Midwest / Rust Belt sort of story. Is the
Indiana.
Idea. Yeah, so Indiana, and it's all about Ralphie, young Ralphie, who is supposed to be young Jean Shepherd.
Yes. Yep.
There was some discussion in the play about, why is his name Ralphie if he's Jean Shepherd? It's like, he wanted to have a fictionalized childhood. What are you going to do?
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
It's a very common trope.
Yeah.
Where, it might be the same person. Now, it's different than if you know the musical Fun Home, where they do say, like, young Allison and old Allison and that type of stuff, where they actually use the character's name. And we've seen that happen a lot in a lot of musicals and a lot of media that you probably consumed on video as well. But sometimes people will utilize, like, nom de plumes or different names.
Not just their own names, but they shift lots of names around. Because at the end of the day, they're compiling, they're collecting. Yeah. One person in a show might have 3 or 4 real-life persons' stories connected to them, that sort of thing. And so Ralphie is Gene Shepard's sort of fictionalized young self. And this is all about the significant Christmas in his history when all he wanted was a Red Ryder BB gun. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing that he wanted for Christmas. And it's sort of the trials and tribulations of the family all through that season, not just about the BB gun. His story is the BB gun.
Did you have a Christmas like that?
A Christmas where all I wanted was one thing?
One thing, and that was like your defining Christmas.
I don't know. I can't think of one.
Well, I'll tell you one that I had, because I always have a story ready to go. And I'm sorry, I know I'm touching my face and I'm probably driving people out there crazy, but it's allergy season. We talked about this a little bit last time as well. But my defining Christmas is, I just remember around Halloween, and it had to have been like 8, 9, or 10. I think it's kind of like the same thing as Ralphie. And we moved to Annandale, Virginia, because my mom and dad were working in that area. And I think we moved there around Halloween. We couldn't go out for Halloween. And so we were kind of anticipating we wouldn't have much of like a Thanksgiving or Christmas. And the way the house was set up is, I've never lived in a split level house, but I did for the very first year. And so my mom's like, yeah, we're not going to have much of a Christmas. But then we went down into like the split bottom level, and there's just toys. I mean, and this was like amazing for like an 8-year-old, right? And we got like the little Power Wheels cars, and I remember there was like this toy that I just loved that was like, it was a feather boa, but it was a cat. Which sounds very on brand for me, but I just remember that's like one of the best Christmases, and I think it was just because we expected like nothing to happen, and then it was like, I literally remember toys from the floor to the ceiling. It was just bananas. It was crazy. My parents did a great job. So, yay, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, my parents always managed a great job during Christmas, and it was always wonderful. The only thing I can think back on where I was like, I never had like one specific thing that I can think of, except for the completely unreasonable things that no child had any business wanting. Like Star Trek 4 came out, and in Star Trek 4 they made a big deal about Captain Kirk had like a pocket watch and a pair of antique reading glasses, and I wanted a pocket watch and a pair of antique reading glasses. I didn't get a pocket watch and a pair of... Actually, I got a pocket watch. And I think they put it in my stocking that year. But
oh, great.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the story of Ralphie as told by Gene Shepard. Glenn's Gene Shepard.
Yes.
Back on track.
Yes, which it's all done in the style of radio. Oh, by the way, hello, Jenny.
Hi, hello, welcome,
Glad
Jenny.
to see you with us. So Gene Shepard, this is all done in the style of his radio show, which Gene Shepard was a radio announcer. He had his own show. And mostly these days, I'd say people our age and younger mostly know him for A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
But he genuinely was like a huge media character for a long time. That his radio show is very, very influential on people. He wrote best-selling collections of essays, of course, but also novels and things like that.
Well, and having done your set, like, I think I remember, like, he was a storefront onto himself.
Yeah.
He had a radio, and I think if you go to Nashville, you can kind of still see some of these places set up, because this was, like, a big deal in being preserved in Nashville, Tennessee. But he was essentially in a radio booth that you could see in as you walked by. So when I was told to dress your set, it was show the on-air box, show fake snow, and really decorated. It's not like how you kind of think of NPR or maybe some other recording booths today, where you're kind of in the back room, you're kind of all insulated. But this was really being a man of the people and being like almost a shop display of himself while telling a Christmas story on the radio.
And sort of the fascinating thing about doing A Christmas Story is A Christmas Story is often thought of as the Christmas movie that's a little bit rough around the edges. It's a little more rugged. The humor's a little bit more, I don't want to say mean, but it's a little
There's
more...
There's still a lot of awkward things. Like, I'm just going to be honest, like, being a part of the show, it's a great show and it's a lot of fun, but there still are some places that are like, ugh.
There are a few moments where you're like, oh,
I don't like it.
We've evolved as a society since then, hopefully, somewhat.
Yeah.
But when... But the whole thing about it is, it's thought of as that Christmas Story with a little bit of edge. And Gene Shepard actually had a bit of a mean sense of humor. He was a very keen satirist, so it's kind of funny now that he's mostly known for a movie that is like, oh, it's still happy and Christmas and everything, but it's a bit of an edge.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people can see themselves in it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't gloss everything over, and it ends happy, but it's still fairly realistic with the family and, you know, not everything working out.
Yeah. And it's one of those, the movie, the original source material movie, is sort of, it's one of those movies that goes into the category of a story about kids that was very clearly written by somebody who didn't want to gloss over the experience of being a kid. But now we're not getting into the actual story.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what's the first song? What does this open? Tell the world, Glenn Williams.
Oh, man. And I'm going to get a whole lot of things out of order. So if you know the show, and we always say, let us know in the chat or let us know in the comments on YouTube, if you know the show, you are going to be typing a mile a minute while I go. Because I had the benefit of sitting in a radio booth at the end of the stage with the script in front of me. So, like, there was no way that I could go wrong on the show. But the show opens up with, we've got the idea, it's counting down Christmas. It's the first big number, right?
Yes, yep. And what was really kind of neat is Summer Musical Enterprise had a partnership with Barter Theater in Abingdon, Virginia. So if you know the Barter Theater, they have a really illustrious history. They're really an amazing company. They've been around for a long time. They rented us their set from when they did A Christmas Story. So it's really neat concept. It was... Tinker Toys.
Yeah.
So the house and
everything
mall
was built out of Tinker Toys, and there were all these classic toy sort of things dressing the set and all. But counting down to Christmas is they go into town and they visit all of the shops and everything, and you see all of the parents with all of their kids wandering around, freaking out about how little time there is until Christmas to go.
And the kids are freaking out because did they tell Santa what they wanted? Did they get their letters in? The best kind of similar vein song I can think of is the song from She Loves Me. Where they all come into the shop and they try to buy everything, and it's very frenetic. But basically, it's everybody saying, like, you know, am I doing everything enough to have a perfect Christmas?
Like, the parents are like, am I setting my kid up to have the best Christmas of their lives? The kids are like Bri said, did I get my letter into Santa Claus? Have I been a good enough kid this year to get what I want?
Yeah. That
sort of thing. And it's a song that captures that sort of hustle of the last few days before Christmas with, is everything in place and everything ready to go?
Yep.
Now, this does not go straight into the infamous Santa Claus scene, does it?
No, that that's
happens
like Act
much
2.
later.
Yeah. This, I mean, like, what I think kind of happens, at least as best as I could remember, is I think it's counting down to Christmas, and then I think, like, you have a scene with the family, and then...
Oh, counting down to Christmas has him seeing the window display.
Yes.
Of Red Ryder.
Yes.
And I actually had a little bit in the number.
Well, then you have the Red Ryder Carbine Action BB Gun.
Yes.
Which is like the very first song I've ever heard from the show. I listened to Sirius XM on Broadway with Seth Rudetsky. Love it. And that's where I heard this, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do this show one day. And I kind of got to. But Ralphie sings this really fun song. It's like, don't need to be a hero to be a cowboy.
Yes.
No! It's just super cute, and like the way that I like how they staged it is like you actually got to hand him the Red Ryder BB gun, or you guys kind of had like a shadow moment.
I got to come out and be Red Ryder, handing him the Red Ryder BB gun. So I got to like sneak out of my radio booth over at the corner come in behind everybody
Wear a
and
cool
pop
shirt.
out and be like in a cowboy shirt with the gun, being like, "Kids,"
Yes. Did you get a hat?
I don't know. I can't remember if they gave me a hat or not.
Well, you
I know
have
I
a big
had the
hat.
Western shirt. Yes, I have a very big hat. As can be demonstrated by
This tiny hat.
my Santa Claus hat here.
Yes.
A hat ain't supposed to sit like that, folks. Especially not a Santa hat.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was really cheap.
Yes.
But essentially, that happens, and then I think it's the mom song, right?
Yeah. Which is an entire song about sort of the chaos of being a mother.
Yes. Yep. We had really beautiful soprano, Cindy Blevins. She played the mom, and it's essentially, how moms are kind of stuck for creating Christmas magic.
Yeah.
Sorry, moms. And I think I don't know. We are not parents. We don't have kids. We have a lot of friends who have kids, and the struggle is real from what we hear.
Yeah. But it's all about sort of the chaos of her day and how, and it's a little bit, I want to say it's a little bit sort of dark humor.
Yeah.
In that it is still about how much the mother loves her family and how much joy she gets out of seeing, how much joy she gets out of seeing her family happy. Yeah, Bri is noticing that our stream is like lagging way behind us.
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, and there we go. Yeah, you can see we're like a few seconds behind right now. But it's about the joy that she gets from seeing her family happy. But it's also a little bit about, why mothers of this period and this region drink.
And have Xanax.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and then from that, it goes into the crossword or the...
Yeah, so it's not his real famous song, which is like another song that I think a lot of people have heard from this musical. It's a major award.
No, this is The Genius of Cleveland Street.
Yes, yep. Yeah. So the dad has a little song because the dad is probably like one of the most beloved characters of the piece. He loves to do crosswords. He loves to fix things. He loves to curse. He loves to yell at the neighbor's dogs. He loves turkey. Yes. Like, we know a lot about the dad. And
played in the movie by Kolchak, yes.
And so essentially, he wants to enter this crossword contest so that he can win a surprise. Yes,
there's supposed to be like, you fill out the crossword. If you get the crossword all right, you mail it in. And if you get drawn, you get a major award.
Well, and of course, the wife is the real one who's filling out the crossword.
Yes.
Because he has to ask her every single question, and then it was, okay, fine.
And there's a little sort of rhythmic piece there with him being like, 4 letters, 4. And she's like, or Peter, 3 letters, 4. Peter. And she's got the pans, and she's like banging them behind his head. And then he's like, Peter Pan, But it all culminates in this musical number called The Genius of Cleveland Street, which is basically him being like, I'm so smart, I'm going to win this.
And it's a little like old, like I think you would consider this as kind of like an old big band type of thing.
Yeah.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah. So that's a very fun number there.
Yeah. Yep, and then I think we go into school. I think that's the next big thing is we get introduced to Ralphie's teacher, and she's assigned this essay. We have to write what you want for Christmas, and you get to meet all the kids.
Yeah.
You get to meet the bullies. You get to meet Ralphie's friends. You have the little moment of, I can't put my arms down.
Yes. You have Ralphie's little brother being like, what?
Yeah. And the whole thing about, I think if you lick a flagpole, and that doesn't happen just yet, but that's kind of introduced. So.
Yeah, that's introduced. They don't get to that scene just yet. But we do get, this is where Cowboy Ralphie happens, right?
Yes. Well, and the one more thing that I will say before we kind of keep moving forward is, we didn't mention this in the beginning, but this is also a Pasek and Paul. Mm-hmm. And if you've seen The Greatest Showman, if you've seen La La Land, that is all Pasek and Paul.
Yeah.
So 2 young guys, really talented songwriters, really talented show writers, and this is written by them.
Yeah.
So highly recommend, go check it out if you like all those other more Hollywood thingies. Dear Evan Hansen is a big thing. We were just talking about that earlier. Like, we both have never seen Dear Evan Hansen, but it is very popular, and a lot of people are singing like "You Will Be Found" and "Waving Through a Window" and all other really appropriate things for isolation and quarantine.
So you have Cowboy Ralphie, which is Ralphie basically. They're given an assignment to write about what they want for Christmas.
Yeah.
And he does this big, long number, which is this cowboy fantasy of him imagining himself in all of the positions that cowboys on television get into. And how he's going to save the day with his Red Ryder BB gun.
I think my favorite thing is we had one of our, chorus people who was a dad and who was Santa and who was a cowboy in this thing. Every single night when he was doing his fake punch, he'd say something else. And it was so funny. I was like, I know you couldn't hear it. You were too far away. But it's like almost everybody that was around him would just be like, I don't like Brussels sprouts or something like that. It was just the funniest thing. And that's the thing that I think, like, I love about performing in theater is you get to have these, like, moments of bonding with people and these inside stories, which I'm sure is not registering for a lot of other people out there, but hopefully you can think of times in your own life and in work or stuff like that you kind of have those connections. I think that's why I keep getting drawn back into community theater, is I love things like that.
But we go from Cowboy Ralphie, we go into Back Home, right? And this is, when we go back home, this is actually where the major award comes in, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have kind of like split between Act 1 and Act 2. And for me, and again, tell us if we're wrong, I seem to remember Major Award was Act 2.
All right, it might have been.
All I know is like the ending is the sour counting down to Christmas, where everybody dressed up in, oh, we lost a feed.
Yes, we are disconnected.
We're dragging along today. Technical difficulties, technical difficulties, technical difficulties, technical difficulties.
Hey, we're actually back before I got my, hey, sorry, we're offline thing going.
But anyway, all I remember kind of for like the end of Act 1 is everybody had to dress up in Grim Reaper robes.
Oh, yes, because that's...
I think the Back Home that we're thinking of is the Somewhere Hovering Over Indiana. Yeah. They're all going to sleep and they're all thinking about Santa to come. Like, I thought that happened pretty early. But the end of Act 1 is all of the townspeople or chorus or whatever dresses up in Grim Reaper robes. And I remember I had to buy, like, little skeleton gloves for people.
This is, yes, we're back. Yeah. Hi. This is, oh man. This is where the act break, when we came back from the act break, that's where the infamous, the famous, like, Flick getting his tongue stuck to the flagpole happens. Yeah. But before that, we have a big musical number that is Ralphie's fear that he has not been good enough to get. And that's why everybody's in the Grim Reaper outfits, is because they're all shouting at him about how he's not going to get anything but coal for Christmas.
Yes. And, I mean, to be honest, I was like, I don't know why I like Act 2 better, but it's like, I just feel like it's all of the really fun, big show numbers. So, like, I think a major award was in there, because I had to make all of the awards. Yeah. So I was like, I think we had a long time to get that ready. And then Bob Bush, who was our tech master extraordinaire, created the big ones, where they actually had a kick line with lamps. It was so great. It was so good. But the other one that I really like in Act 2 is the teacher. You'll shoot your eye out. Yes. Where she's in like a flapper.
Yeah, all of the big showpiece numbers come in the second act.
Yes.
That you have a giant... It opens with Flick getting his tongue stuck to the flagpole. And that has a whole, like, number with the community coming out and helping to get him unstuck from the flagpole. You have the teacher has a song about "You'll Shoot Your Eye Out," where she hands the paper back, and she's given him an F for his paper on the Red Ryder BB
No,
gun.
to be C plus.
Yeah, C plus.
Like I think he didn't get an F, but he looked at it as like the worst thing in the world because you'll shoot your eye out, and that's what he's heard all Christmas.
He was hoping for an A plus,
yes.
so that he could take it home and show his parents. It'd be like, see I should have the gun. And the teacher was like, C plus, you'll shoot your eye out. But she has a whole big like
vamp number.
Yes,
like it's
vamp
so funny.
Nightclub number.
And they had all the little kids in the classroom all change into like mobsters. And
yes.
It is really funny. Like honestly, like the show is so charming. It really harkens back to kind of like those old musicals like we were talking about in Gershwin on Wednesday. They go back to like what I think we're seeing from modern storytellers in musical theater is we've learned all of these historical eras. We've had a lot of things to draw on. So you do see things like this where it's like the teacher is now transformed into the lounge singer, and all the bullies are mobsters. They're going to come get him, and all the girls that he's in love with are like, the malls, and it's cute. It's super cute.
And then when we go home from that, we've just had this big number with You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. We go home from that, and that's where Major Award comes in.
Yep.
Which I had another one of my moments when I got to sneak out of the radio booth. I got to be like the chief delivery man.
Yes! Here's your major award!
Yeah, so I shuffled on the stage doing my best Judd Hirsch imitation. And
he won a major award!
Yes, and like, big box gets delivered. It has the word fragile on the side, which is like, fragile! It's an Italian award. And then that turns into a giant production number with his father. This is a very famous scene from the movie. His father finally digs out the award from the box, and it's a lamp that is a giant plastic woman's leg with a fishnet stocking and a high heel on it.
Yeah, and so everybody, like the whole town, gets put in these gold showgirl, showboy costumes, and then each of the adults had a full-size like leg that you could hold, like a suitcase or something, and they would do like little kick line. It was great, and like all the kids had a smaller one, and I made the smaller one, and Bob made the big one.
Yes, and it's a giant number with a tap break and patter song and
that's good
comedy monologue in the middle of it and everything. It's just a giant showpiece.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick a piece from this show to be like, here's everything about the show in one number, that's it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get the sour Santa, all the sour elves. We get that big moment in the movie where he goes visit Santa in the mall as like a whole big dance scene and dance number as well.
Yes. With Santa Claus complaining about all of the kids that he has to see. And all of the elves who are, of course, like put upon department store workers who just want to get home, Yes. They're tired of dealing with parents and kids all day long.
Yep. And then I think basically what ends up happening from there is they do have, like I said, this is the cringy bit, sorry, it's the whole Chinese...
Oh, yeah, there's a whole lead up to that. Yeah, that it's, well, first off, you have the lamp getting broken. And the whole
you did
quest,
this on purpose.
Yeah, the whole quest to figure out the lamp. Then you have the going to get the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the fudge.
Yeah, the fudge. With Ralphie is helping his dad change a flat tire, and his dad, who has already been established, like, does all of the household chores and like swears up a storm the entire time. Ralphie swears when he loses hold of the hubcap and gets his mouth washed out with soap for it. Yeah. Actually, that's the end of Act 1. That's where the Grim Reaper costumes come in. Because he's worried that because he swore, he's not going to get the gun now.
See? We're already correcting ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm sure some of you are going crazy this whole time, and because we're lagging, we're missing it. But
yeah, an hour from, posting on YouTube, there's going to be someone commenting, being like, you forgot what goes on. You forgot the most famous part of the movie. But yeah, there's breaking up the lamp, and then there's waking up on Christmas morning with the turkey and the gifts and everything that goes on with the gifts. I'm being very vague on this, not just because we're running out of time. We're well over what we usually spend, but also because on the off chance people haven't seen the show, I don't want to spoil whether Ralphie gets a gun or not.
And what I think is really nice is you can go find this soundtrack pretty much for like $10 now. It's not Christmas. I don't think anybody is prepping to do the show recently. So if you were kind of intrigued by our hustle through it and just our description of fondly remembering it, you can go on Amazon, look up, A Christmas Story. There was a live version that happened recently. But if you just find like the original broadcast, I think Tom Wopat was in it. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Go check it out. I still have it on my wish list.
But getting back to the cringy part. There's a whole storyline of the father loves turkey. Like, it's his favorite food, and he only gets it, like, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so the mother's been shooing him out of the kitchen while she cooks the turkey. And then the next door neighbor's dogs get in and wreck the turkey.
And I've seen some productions where they actually have 1 real dogs or 2 puppet dogs. I think we just did it in the dark. I don't think we ever came up with a good solution.
Yeah, I think that's what we wound up doing. Yeah, that it was sound effects in the dark. But so the turkey gets ruined. He's like, let's go out to eat. The whole family goes out to eat at a Chinese restaurant because it's the only place open on Christmas. And that's where one of the cringy things is that there's a bit done with
it's an old-fashioned yellow face kind of bit.
It's a brutal Asian accent, like stage Chinese accent, singing Christmas carols. And, which all of us involved in the production were just kind of like,
But if you know anything about when you do a show, you have to adhere to rights.
Yes.
And you can't change anything. And so I think that we did the best that we could, but it still was not great.
Yeah, it's not great. And that's, if anybody whose group is considering doing the show, that's something you should consider as well, is that you
be aware of
you may come up against that while you're doing this, because it's a moment that's in the movie. And in the movie, it's, now when it gets played, people get to that scene and they kind of cringe. And when they made the musical adaptation, they put that scene into the musical adaptation. But what we get after that is we get actually a very touching song.
I think the last song is really the best. And to be honest, I was like, I really love the last song because it kind of negates what has happened in Counting Down to Christmas. It didn't matter. Because if you're with your family and your family loves you and your family loves you by kind of demonstrating into these certain ways, then it's great. And I also really liked it because we had snow every night.
Yes, we did.
We had a big snow machine. And I don't know if you've ever seen snow on stage, but it's just magical and I love it. And it's always I'm sorry, I'm of the camp. It's always worth it for glitter, and confetti cannon, or snow.
Yes.
Although we just did Follies where there was bubbles, please don't do bubbles.
Don't do bubbles. Especially anywhere that the bubbles will fall on the audience. Because you'll give the audience umbrellas and you'll think it's going to be cute. The audience does not think it's cute.
No bubbles. But glitter, confetti, snow. We did confetti for Spam a lot, which I just loved. We had a big confetti cannon at the end, so that was super fun. And I love the snow at the end of A Christmas Story. It's just, I think by the time everybody made it to that and heard the song and saw the snow, like, it was just families hugging in the aisles and world peace, and that's how you want a Christmas show to end.
Yeah. It's for all of the, like we talked about it being the edgy Christmas show.
It's very traditional.
At the end, it's very traditional. It's very family, and being together with people you love is what's important about this time of year.
So,
time of year.
But any time of year, it's Christmas in our hearts.
We're under quarantine. We're forgetting what the days are blurring together.
Well, I'm glad that you guys stuck around with us for all this.
Yes.
Obviously this is something a little bit more recent, so we remember it fairly well, aside from the end of Act 1.
Yes.
But we're glad that you stuck with us. We kind of had to take a little bit of time, I think, anyway, being that this is our last Remembering Musicals moment here with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But, thank you for spending your afternoon with us,
Yeah.
and we hope that you will check out A Christmas Story, buy that soundtrack, see if you enjoy it yourself. Maybe rewatch the movie if you got it, you feel like being in a little bit of a holiday mood. But we love you guys so much. Thank you so much. And we'll give you more information about our t-shirt contest. We'll give you more information about Monday's tweet through event. And then on Wednesday, we're very, very, very excited to introduce you to something new.
Yes.
With the same old folks here.
All right. And thank you guys. Like I said, we'll be doing our tweet through, like Bri just said, we'll be doing our tweet through on Monday. Wednesday we'll be back. It's just we won't be doing from memory anymore. We'll be doing like musicals we haven't seen. We'll be talking about what we think is going on in the shows. And until that time, we love you all. It's always wonderful for joining us. Thank you, Jenny, so much. I hope you have a great weekend as well. And thank you, Bristol. Thank you, everyone who joined us.
Yeah. Love you.
Love you. And
stay safe. Wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Internet Mom and Dad love you.